So, good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Magda for putting together these really interesting sessions that allow us to present our research and our work. I've learned quite a lot from the sessions last week, and I really hope that my presentation is up to the standard that we have seen so far. So, I will quickly start by presenting a short overview of my training, which has been pretty linear so far. I have received my BA and my MA degrees from the University of Lisbon, where I also went on to complete my PhD, also in archaeology. And I am currently a postdoctoral researcher at UniArt, the Center for Archaeology of the University of Lisbon. And throughout this academic trajectory, my research has focused primarily on southern Portugal and the adjoining areas. So we could say it focuses more or less on the southwestern Iberian Peninsula. And from a chronological point of view, I have mostly dealt with the final stages of the Bronze Age and the regional early Iron Age, with some incursions into later periods when needed. However, my main research focus has been on the connections between the local communities and the Mediterranean world during this period. So in a sense, the scope of my research has been somewhat wider, also encompassing Phoenician and Punic archaeology and Phoenician and Punic studies in general. The little circle you can see here inside my research area pinpoints the location of one of the sites which I have studied with more attention in the past, the Iron Age necropolis of Alcácer do Sal, a little more than an hour to the south of Lisbon, which was the primary object of my PhD thesis. And it was precisely while studying this site that I first became interested in textile tools and textile activities, as there was a significant number of tools in this necropolis, which led me to analyze this material from a technical and a productive point of view, but also from the point of view of the symbolic significance of the presence in the funerary record, which led me to search for clues as to the possible religious, symbolic, and magic significance of this type of material in the ancient world, coming across the most well-known facet of which is the figure of the spinning and weaving goddesses of fate, which we find in different contexts of this ancient world. I have since had the opportunity to study other assemblages of material from funerary settings, but there is still a lot to be done regarding both the general study of Iron Age textile tools and the specific issue of their significance in the funerary record. Moving on to the present, I am currently working on the Made in the Mediterranean project, which focuses on consumption, identity, and political economy in southern Portugal during the periods I mentioned before. The main tasks of these projects are to catalog all the Mediterranean elements documented in southern Portugal between the late Bronze and the early Iron Age, and to reassess them from the point of view of consumption rather than trade, by highlighting their role in local social practices and political agendas. The end goal would be to reconstruct the role of Mediterranean imports in local identity constructs, cultural discourses, and bodily regimes. Originally, this project aimed to focus primarily on those categories of material which were less studied and explored, such as adornment elements in various exotic materials, including glass, carnelian, faience, amber, but also perfumes, for instance, and to produce both a complete inventory and an open digital database of all these types of materials. However, it should be said that the overwhelming majority of these elements with which I have been working recently falls within a limited number of functional categories, among which the most prominent are dress, adornment, and bodily care. For this reason, I have become more and more interested in their relation to the body and embodied regimes of representation and identity, in the framework of which textiles, which are unfortunately almost or practically absent in the archaeological record of southern Portugal during this period, are an integral part which deserves consideration, albeit indirect. That is why I'm very keen to learn more about textile archaeology and possible methodologies to study and interpret dress when the textiles themselves are missing. This being said, I have also given some consideration to the ways in which my research and my modest expertise could be put to use within EuroWeb and specifically within this research group. For the moment, I have identified three main axes which I would like to explore. First of all, I think my archaeological expertise and material culture studies could be put to good use in exploring shared approaches to the use of non-textile sources for the reconstruction of dress. whether this is through the study of non-textile dress elements and complements, to research on possible textile-related decorative patterns in other supports, like pottery, for instance, or through iconographic analysis, although anthropomorphic iconography in the Iron Age of southern Portugal is somewhat rare. Secondly, as my previous and current research has focused heavily on funerary contexts, I would be keen to contribute to new lines of research on the role of textiles, textile tools, and dress in funerary settings, namely exploring the relation to the identity of the deceased, also taking advantage of the fact that for the first time we now have some well-preserved and recorded Iron Age funerary contexts in southern Portugal, which could afford relevant data. Finally, a lot of my research has been theory-oriented, so I would be more than happy to interchange ideas about shared theoretical and methodological approaches on subjects such as gender archaeology, embodiment, or identity, among others. To give you an example, I am currently researching the change of regimes of bodily care and representation between the late Bronze and the early Iron Age, a subject which I am certain could benefit from a comparative and interdisciplinary dialogue such as the one we are aiming to conduct in Euroweb. So that would be it for me. Thank you very much for your attention, and please do get in touch if you have any questions, ideas, or suggestions. They are more than welcome. Thank you very much.